I'm Catherine Stafford. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I work in Mill Creek, Washington, where I have a business that's just Stafford Counseling Services. I do counseling, coaching, and consultation for the Nurtured Heart approach primarily. I have 4 kids. My oldest girl, my only girl, is 18, and then I have 3 amazing boys who are 15, 13, and 7. A large majority of my kids are on the autism spectrum because they struggle in school, and teachers are tripped up by behaviors and big feelings, and families are frustrated and they're struggling with where to go to kind of shift the energy and get these kids back on track to really owning the truth of who they are. And so I'm blessed to have had the opportunity to have quite a few kids on the autism spectrum come through my practice. I was a stay-at-home mom for about 8 years, and I was really not having any intention to come back to clinical social work or mental health field, particularly the pediatric field. It just didn't, it hurt my heart. It hurt my heart, and I didn't want to participate in that. And so now I'm back and excited about what I have to bring to my area. It's fun. I was in retirement. The cool thing about me was, I had tapped out of mental health. I didn't believe in it anymore because I didn't believe that I had any tools to get people where they wanted to go. And it didn't feel good to talk about problems, and it didn't feel good to talk about pathology when you're talking about little children. And so I just refused to participate in that, and I had tapped out. And I was brought back into work through, whatever route, and a client had given me Howie's book back in 2007, I believe. And it was like, oh my God, this is what I've been waiting for. And no looking back, because I finally feel like I have the tools that no matter who presents in my office, I can say, I promise you'll get where you want to go. It's not always an easy journey, and you have to be tenacious and you have to be fearless, but I promise you'll get where you want to go through this route. And I see it with my own children. I have these amazing, beautiful children. My daughter's going off to college this year, and she is a phenomenal young woman, and she knows the approach. She lives the approach. She's come to trainings on the approach, and I see it trickling down to the boys, below her. So it's transformational for myself, and it's transformational for my family, and I am so thrilled to be a part of it for anybody who I have the privilege of coming alongside of. I think the word on the street is starting to happen in Seattle. There's quite a few actually, amazing advanced trainers who are in my region. And we are all really trying to come together to stoke the fire in Seattle, if you will, and spread the word out there about there is a different model besides problem-focused, challenge-focused, medication-focused therapies and supports out there for families. I'm getting many referrals from the same school, which helps me think, oh, okay, when I have 8, 9, 10 referrals coming from now the front office lady from a school, that tells me people are talking about it. And people aren't talking about me because this isn't about me, this is about Nurtured Heart approach. And so, continuing to grow is really a goal for myself. My own practice, but more regional is my intention. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to really have this work that we know gets you exactly where you want to go. You don't have to make it up as you go along. You don't have to second guess yourself. When you get to that place where no matter who walks through my door, this will get you where you want to go. I don't have to be worried about behaviors. I don't have to wonder if it will work for this child. Because when you're speaking to the heart of the child, the magic just happens. I steal a quote from Michelle Garcia Winner, and she says in her conferences that it's not evidence-based, but it's based in evidence. And so when you start feeling that amazing, powerful transformation happening, the word gets out. And so, truly it becomes word of mouth, and families who are feeling supported and successful continue to recommend my work, which is the Nurtured Heart approach, to families and friends who are also having kids that are struggling. And so it's like the ripple in the pond, and it just continues to go out. All of the concepts of Nurtured Heart approach bring that humanity and that humility to all of us. My children reset me all the time, or will say, Mom, that was not Nurtured Heart approach. And they're right. And to be able with grace say, which I love. I love that concept of grace. This process, this philosophy is all about grace. And that extends to we parents too, who are not perfect. And we don't expect our children to be perfect. I had a lovely moment. It was the day after the break for the holidays. And when I went to wake up my 7-year-old, he says, Mom, I really want to punch you in the face. I felt the same way 3 hours ago when my alarm clock woke me up. Why would I not give him the same grace I gave myself to look at how powerful he was by not doing that or not acting on that intention or managing that feeling so well? We all have to work through that reset to get to that next renewal of greatness. And he did that. And I love that I have the tools to not get tripped up in the behavior. The behavior is just a feeling, and we all have feelings, and we can support it. It's fun. the foundation as it stands is exactly what kids need to feel safe, to feel seen, and to feel honored exactly as they are. That is your foundational piece. That's the primal nutrition piece, which is why kids on the spectrum respond so beautifully well. We are coming in regulated, which supports regulation. We are coming in focusing on what's going right, that we want to shine that light on and grow in a way that's so profoundly positive for them. They step onto that trajectory of regulation and owning the greatness that's in them. I love talking to kids about their greatness and having them, when they take it in and you can see that place where I gotcha, and then start to reflect it back. It's a beautiful process to see happening. I think it's the same for any child. We don't get stuck in the muck. I was thinking about this morning and the idea that we don't get tripped up by behavior. We don't get afraid, or we work on not being afraid of big emotion, and we stay present with our intention. Our intention is, again, to help these kids feel safe and feel honored and support them through whatever's happening for them in that moment. There's such a range of how kids on the autism spectrum show up, but I can't help but think, most of the kids I see are really bright, more verbal. That's the kids who come to me. So I can't speak about every child who would walk through my door, but that place of seeing a child from the heart and that relationship piece, and that honoring piece, and that safety piece, and that primal nutrition piece, I can't help but think that wouldn't speak to every single child out there. Sometimes I see the parents and I support them, and I never, ever, ever see the child. Sometimes I see the child individually because we're working on some stuff individually, as well as supporting the parents. I can't think of any child who I'm seeing now where I'm only seeing the child and not supporting Nurture Heart approach with the family. And like anything else, some people can read the book and roll with it, and other people really want some more support as they go along their journey. And it's not a one-size-fits-all model. We make it up as we go along, and we see what's working. I see this approach as a warrior approach. When kids protest, and kids protest in any range of ways, from the passive to the in-your-face chair over their head. And to me, that protest is game on. Game on warrior mode, because what I believe they're telling me in that moment is, I don't believe this is true about my greatness. I need you to show me. I need you to prove it to me. And so that's the challenge. That's the challenge for the warrior mode of bring it. I am going to now set my intention to prove to you in an experiential way where you can buy into it because it's just the truth of the moment. This is who you are. There are times when I've had kids in my office where I've had to hold my breath and hope that, my faith in them and in the truest version of them was going to trump the impulse to punch me or spit on me or whatever. I would always say duck. If someone's going to hit you, you better duck. This isn't about being naive in that way. But when we set our intention, when we bring our energy to really create that successful shift, when we believe with fearlessness, that we can use our fear to come up with even greater intention and show up with even more purpose, it does shift the moment. And I haven't been hit yet, so something's going right. Yeah, lots of opportunities, don't get me wrong, but I haven't been hit yet. But I think when you show up in that moment and you focus on the power of that moment, when a child on the backswing or a child, gonna hawk up that big loogie, which is my hot button, I don't like spit, and just kind of hijack in that moment and get in their face with the truth of how powerful they're being right before they're about to do it, right? And I believe this is so powerful. Nurture Heart approach brings the gift of the hijack. We can wait until something happens and reactively go back after it, or we can proactively go in there and decide we're going to hijack that moment. We know where it's headed, and we can wait to react, or we can proactively get in there and hijack them, right? And show them the greatness of what they're doing right before they have to notch it up to try and get your attention or get your relationship, get your energy. It's not about attention, it's about relationship. I think it's a matter of, you have to get to the place where you believe in the approach, where you've lived it, you've experienced, you've worked it through. We don't all jump out of the gates and feel like we can handle anything that comes our way. But after you've been doing it for a while, what you realize is it doesn't matter what the child's doing to express their desire to have you show up with congruency, or their desire to have you prove to them that they have this greatness in them, or that they can handle their feelings, or whatever it is that's causing this emotion that's showing up in a behavior, right? When you get to that place, then you don't have to be fearful. Kids who cut, kids who drink, kids who are on the streets, kids who whatever, right? You don't have to be afraid of that anymore, because it's all energy, and we can shift that energy with purposefully showing up with our own energy to swing that momentum back. Yeah. It's fun. This is a fun, I get fired up with the big behaviors because it's fun. It really is game on. One of the things I know from my experience and from learning from people who I admire out in the field, my colleagues, is that, Nurture Heart approach supports regulation. And so often our kids with autism spectrum disorders are dysregulated. Their world is hard. Life is hard and it comes at them and everything they feel is so much bigger. And this grounds us in a place of, again, supporting regulation, supporting safety, always looking through that lens of compassion, right? Not reaction, but compassion. And so when I think about Nurture Heart approach, when I look at any behavior coming my way, when I think about it as a child who's dysregulated, or needing me to show up with congruency, or needing me to show them a different version of what they're capable of, who they are, that taps into the compassion, and that trumps everything.